Okay, it's 10 a.m. Welcome everybody to this SCE 9 online meeting. My name is Jan George. I'm the chairman of the SCE program committee. With me is also Vlad Vidikov. He's my co-chair of the PC. Welcome to this meeting. Just a couple of rules. If you have any question, please ask for microphone or video, and we will grant you microphone and video, just like Zoran did now. Or write in Q&A. There is a Q&A session on the left side of the screen. We will not ask questions from the chat panel. Please put questions in Q&A session. And with that, you had Vladislav, you have anything to add, or shall we let Vesna to start?
I believe it's time to start.
Thank you. Vesna, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good day, good afternoon. It is my honor to give the first speech at today's meeting. And I'm dedicating this talk to two people that we have lost in September this year. That is Susan Forney, who gave a talk at the SCE 8 in Sarajevo 2.5 years ago, the last time when we have met in person, and my uncle, Chicha Micho. May they rest in peace. So these are the difficult times and difficult topics, and I've been struggling with how to present these topics to the techies. And so I decided to map the OSI layers with the Maslow pyramid of needs, which kind of correspond to each other. So like it goes from physical layer, which corresponds to the physiological needs, and then goes all the way to application layer, which corresponds to self-actualization. And then there are additional ones. On the networking model, Avi Nemeth added the financial and political layer, which you can see on this t-shirt from IETF. And then the Maslow pyramid was extended with the Native American traditional philosophy, where he actually got the inspiration for his pyramid to start with. So I wrote 10 articles about this. I thought it's going to take me 10 weeks, but actually it took 6 months. So that's very typical for these pandemic times. And the main message was, within this RIPE community, we are in this together. You are not alone. So if you're struggling, if you're surviving, there is a support. We are supporting each other, and all these articles are on RIPE Labs, and all the links about the things that I'm going to talk about today are also within those articles. So the community well-being was a topic that was of interest to several people within the RIPE community, and we created a small task force, and you can find some of those other articles also on RIPE Labs, and we have came up with a survey to actually ask the community, how are you doing? What is what are the things that are bothering you? What were the solutions that you have found yourself? And Eric Bice presented these findings at the previous RIPE meeting. And we are going to meet again at the next RIPE meeting. So please join us and express your experiences and what would you like us to work on within this task force. Our main goal was to remove the stigma and the shame from the mental health needs, because we all have them and they're all very important for our personal well-being, but also for our collective well-being, because as this picture says, no one is safe until everyone is safe. So again, I'm inviting you, if you are doing well, to contribute to the well-being of others. So you can join the mailing list, or you can be a mentor to someone, or just listen to somebody who is having a hard time. And if you are struggling, please ask for help and get support. Because there is a lot of resources and a lot of technical communities have been coming up with reports and tools. And so from the top, I guess left, there is the Jitsi channel where the NLNOG community, the network operator group in Holland, has been having coffee breaks to talk about non-technical topics. Then the programmers, the internet exchanges, and the digital rights activists, they all had their either surveys or reports or special sessions dedicated to coping with stress, coping with pandemic, mentoring, and all these kind of soft topics. While the other communities, so the open source, the internet governance, the security, and the maker spaces, they all went online for a year and a half. We haven't met anyone until this September. NLNOG had their first in-person and remote, so hybrid meeting, and that was wonderful to see each other. And it was also super awkward because we actually forgot how to deal with humans. So the topic of nerds and neurodiversity and mental health needs was present also before the pandemic, but now it became just more pronounced. Because we have within our technical communities a large proportion of people on the spectrum. And so we have even more problems now to kind of deal with people when we couldn't see them. And so the neurodiversity is also a very important area where you can get help outside and within the community, because we all have those quirks ourselves. So this was about individualistic problems, and now here are the systemic solutions. And in order to change the systems that contributed to this pandemic, we need to change the way of thinking to move from pyramid towards the cycle and the circle. Because underneath all those needs, there is a planet that needs us as techies. We have a lot of power, and we need to use that power to keep the planet livable, because our children's future is just a tsunami of crisis after crisis after crisis, and we must join them to go beyond resilience and towards rebellion. So this was really heavy topic, so I leave you with some cat pictures, and I still have 2 minutes left. Is this the time for the questions now, or do I still have 2 minutes of my talk? Cheers.
As you can take questions, or you can use 2 minutes for the talk.
Let's do the questions or comments. Please speak up and tell us, how have you been doing? If nobody's speaking, I will speak, but we can all speak at the same time. I think Meet Echo allows that. So cheers, let somebody else speak if you want. And otherwise, I'll go to my less funny slide, which is this. So you can find all these articles on RIPE Labs, and one of my favorites is the layer 6, which is about aesthetic needs. So that's the art and beauty, and finding the beauty in nature, and how nature is healing, both because we have stopped flying and stopped like interfering with nature so much, but also how nature is helping us deal with the stress by having plants and having pets. When we were not able to meet with people, then we were meeting those needs by communicating with trees, with rivers, and with our cats. Thank you.
Okay, Vesna, Thank you very much. Apparently, there are no questions from the community. I can't see anything in Q&A. So yeah, thank you very much.
Maybe we'll have a discussion after. Thank you.
Cheers. Now we have Vladimir Gazivoda. Are you here?
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you share did you upload the presentation?
Yes, I think so, just to see.
Okay.
Okay, here it is.
Thank you. So now we are entering the section of the regional IXPs, which have 5 minutes per each. So please be on time, be precise. We will have a series of IXPs telling us how they adapted to the traffic increases after the COVID and how IXPs kept the local traffic in the country. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jan. Hello to you all. Okay, as I have 5 minutes, I will just fast forward the first slide. As you know, Montenegro Internet Exchange, established in 2015. Very early, we connected the two major telecom operators. Later on, followed most of the others. And the managing of Montenegro Internet Exchange is delegated to the University of Montenegro and is located in the University of Montenegro data center. As from 16th of March 2020, government imposed some restrictive measures regarding the jobs, learning, etc., etc., and most of the elementary school, high schools, and also university moved to online education. Also, majority of government offices and private offices also moved to working from home. Some of the companies partially introduced working from home, and half of the staff worked from the office. And regarding that, we expected more internet traffic. And as you know, most of telecom operators are connected to the IXP. Also, as online learning started, most of the materials, video materials, are located at either University of Montenegro or either at the services, the Ministry of Education. So we expected that lots of multimedia traffic will flow. Okay. This is also interesting data regarding the Monstat. We see that household internet access in 2020 have risen from 74% to 80%, and that is percentages very larger step in internet access. We also heard that there was difficulty in acquiring PCs, telephones, etc., because most of the household were buying rapidly the devices. So as we see these graphic data, we see that in 2020 and also in 2021 there is a large growth of the traffic in the IXPs. The largest telecoms, we see that there are more than double the traffic flow in the IXP network. And also, as we can see in this graph, this is the total graph from the IXP. We see that it is constant. We never experienced any fallbacks or interruption in the data, so everything worked smoothly. Okay, I have 1 minute and a half. I'm ready for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladimir. This was very inspiring. So, did you have to do anything to the IXP to cope with the new realm of COVID? or you already built it like you wanted to, and it was coping by itself?
It was coping by itself. We, as you know, you helped us in implementing IPv6, but most of the telecom operators are not IPv6 ready yet, so they did not use it. But as for the existing platform, it worked as from the first day.
Good. Are there any questions? No questions yet. Nobody's talking.
It's too early.
Okay. Then if there are no questions, so Vladislav Vidiko, will you introduce the next speaker?
This is very difficult, but the next speaker seems to be a person called Vladislav Vidikov, coming from the St. Kirill and Methodist University and talking about our experience with COVID and IXP.mk. And I hope the slides are in. So as you already heard, COVID-19 created some interesting situation and an interesting development in most of the IXPs around the world. IXP.mk was not an exception, and this is our story. IXP.mk was born in 2018, and we only started with 3 peers. In 2019, we had a donation from ISOC, which was 2 new switches and some optics. And in that year, we had only 2 smaller ISP. We were around 100 megabit of traffic running generally through the exchange, mostly because of the online materials, but they were written and they were in text format. And then, as you all know, sometime between February and March 2020, we have COVID-19, and this is what was happening in our country. So the Ministry of Health declared a pandemic in one municipality. That was in March 2020. And on the 10th of March 2020, the Ministry of Education decided to stop the educational process for at least 14 days and give out a recommendation that we are going everything in online. The Faculty of Computer Science and Education, where actually the node and the team that is working the IXP.mk project is residing, in just 7 days decided to switch to full online classes. We only need to upgrade some network links, and business was as usual. What we saw right away after 7 days and after we started our teaching process, that both of our internet links, which are, one is from the GEAM network and one is a commercial IXP, were full. And people, while people were starting to work from home, we see regular outages and latencies during the work hours. So from 8 until 18 o'clock, it was very difficult to have a quality video session and lesson. This is why we contacted Macedonian Telecom, primarily to first see the possibility to acquire more additional upstream for the system. But we got the information that they're almost full in upstream capacity, and their lead time for any upgrades is 60 or more days. But what actually happened is that they decided that it's a good moment for them, because most of our students seems to use their services, that they will join the IXP.mk. And on 18th of March 2020, we got Macedonian Telecom on board. Just to note that Macedonian Telecom is the incumbent operator and the biggest operator in customers, networks, and capacity. Following this, and they're jumping on the IXP.mk model, 2 smaller IXPs also joined on April 2020. And our first test of how IXP.mk can cope with traffic begins on our exam week, which was starting in June 2020. You can see our new record graph of 250 megabits of traffic. But then things tend to go even further because we had very good reaction from the second operator. A1 Macedonia joined in August, then another operator joined in November. We got a new donation from a third switch and an optical news. We opened a new POP in Telesmart as a neutral DC with a large space to grow, and we got a black fiber release donated by a private company, and we started creating plans for making a ring between the three POPs and the three switches we already have. What is currently, since we are 9th September 2021, we in the meantime got a donation of used optic muxes from DET6 and some SFP modules for the CDVM. We started to plan the tender procedure to lease fibers for the fiber ring. Of course, unfortunately, the ring will be possible only for 2 POPs, not for the 3 POPs we currently have. We have a PC node which is coming soon to the IXP, and the Faculty of Computer Science decided that the next school year will be still online. Our daily record is 1.2 gigabits. It was in the exams in January, and as you can see from this slide, our traffic is constant and starting to grow. Of course, how we will go with the future. We generally plan to keep things running smoothly. We have 0 incidents so far, so fingers crossed the infrastructure is working as expected. We have big problems in order to get upstream capacity for the XPMK usage, which will not cost a fortune as the current situation is, and this is in order not to impact the real capacity of the faculty. So we are seeking for a possible donation for this from one of the operators. We definitely need a core router, something that can scale, and because using VMs as core router sometimes could be a bit stressful, but yeah, it works. We need to upgrade our XP Manager to the latest build because of new option. Of course, as Jan enjoys to say, we need to promote IPv6 usage. Our route servers are IPv6 ready, but we still have no IPv6 peers connected. And the plan is that in November we will have the first ISP technical meeting with all our operators, and hopefully it will be not completely online. So, because Jan forgot to open the timer, I believe I'm just on time. So, if there are any questions, Jan, please.
Yes. Well, thank you for this. Very inspiring. Let's see what's in the chat. I think Paula wanted to ask a question online. Mushkovic. Paula, can you try with audio again? I don't see the panel where I could say yes to Paula.
I allow him, but it doesn't connect.
Yeah, let's just make Paula.
In the meantime, I see a question from Vesna. Did you have trouble visiting any remote location during the lockdown? And in our case, we were lucky that we were considered critical infrastructure, so we had permits and we were allowed to visit and go around places with special measures while it was locked down.
Okay, Paula, you can switch on the microphone and the camera now.
Okay, I just switched by mistake, okay? Because I was trying to the microphone, something was not working, so sorry for this. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, by mistake I pressed the ring button, okay?
Oh, okay.
To test my, it looks like it's not working. Okay, sorry.
Talk to you later. All right. Well, thank you, Vladimir. Who is next on the list? Well, Vladimir, you introduce Zoran, please.
Well, next on the list we have Zoran Perovic from SOC Serbia and his update on how they coped with COVID-19. So Zoran, the floor is yours in 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you a lot. I hope that we will have a presentation soon. I asked for the slides. Yep, it seems it would be this one. So first of all, hello. My presentation will be much closer to Vesna's presentation because we focus on communicating with people. It is what we learned in this COVID epidemic situation, that switches will work, routers will work, but it is actually the mindset of a people that changed more than the traffic pattern. Traffic pattern was okay, how to say, copable. We managed to handle all the traffic that came into our network, and proactively we upgraded our network significantly. But as we speak, last 5 meetings, we are in the state of continuous changes, and adopting changes and adapting to these changes actually just got stronger with the epidemic situation. So the changes are imminent, the changes are present, and we really should all think about how to cope with problems, because problems, challenges are all around us. So we upgraded our network significantly. You see that we are still on the same trade route, Vienna to Sofia, Carigradski Put, or whatever, Via Militaris, Silk Road. We upgraded all our links, we doubled all our equipment, we doubled our traffic, and this is last year traffic. This year we are roughly on 250 gigabits per second. So traffic is okay. Traffic is technical thing. What we really need to focus is how people are using our network, our infrastructure, how partners are adapting to the new situation. In Serbia, in IXP, there was no big issue, really. Operators faced some issues because the traffic moved from business to residential B-slums or CMTSs, UMTSs, whatever TSs. But in general, the network was fine. The network was okay. What happened is that we all moved to virtual domain. We all moved to virtual classrooms, virtual playgrounds, and question of security and question of measurement or measurements became actually crucial. So we give our focus on quality, security, and measurements. We develop our own S-flow system in order to pinpoint problems, challenges in our network, and that is something that we are very proud of, that we helped our network work more consistently with less latency, and our CTO, Nenad Krajinovic, never lost a packet in the network anyhow for these 10 or 11 years. So new toys, but the same story, the same goal. We focus on educating our customers, on measuring impact, on upgrading our CDN presence, and changing modules wherever possible. So we focused on community, we focused on our customers, we focus on cooperation. We are one of leaders in RSNOG, as probably you all know, and we had very successful RSNOG meeting last November, I believe. So we focus on security and measurement, we improve our network capacity, resiliency, availability, quality, and try really hard to be proactive before changes happen. And our logo, our motto, our state of mind, communication, collaboration, cooperation is still the same. I believe I fit in 5 minutes.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you, Zoran. Yeah, very good to hear. So, did you have any issues? Did you have to do any special measures for the surge in COVID, or was it just working as normal?
While we all talk that our networks manage the traffic, our biggest challenge, believe it or not, was the cash flow challenge. Because, okay, we did upgrade some customers, but investment in 100 gig in dark fiber lease, or let's say we bought dark fiber, we don't lease them. It took us really a couple of hundreds of thousands of euros. So the income side is still not covering the expenses. But we just moved some of our business activities closer, and we are quite sure that we will make the ends meet. But in general, our biggest challenge was with cash flow, not with partners, not with traffic.
Cool. Are there any other questions? Because now Sanel told me that he can't present for some reason. I don't know why. So we have 5 more minutes to spend in this session. So if there are no other comments or questions, we'll have to ask Christian Kopsea from Interland to do his bit, and maybe we can have more discussion at the end of this section. Christian, are you here?
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I
Can you
hope
share the slides, or you will do without slides?
I think you have the slides. I just sent them to Alexandra before the meeting.
Oh, so then there are preloaded slides.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I see them. Okay, I can share them for you, and you can tell me where to next slide. Okay, when you want me to change the slide.
Okay, so you may change the slide. Okay, what we did during the pandemic was to get new members, and we just upgraded capacities. I don't know how we did it, but we already had in place a lot of capacity, over 1.3 terabytes before the pandemic. And after the pandemic, I mean, today we have somewhere around 2.2 terabytes of capacity in our equipment. We, as you can see on the slide, we link over 100 Romanian regional and worldwide AS numbers. We are present in 14 locations, 7 in Bucharest, 7 in major cities. We have developed a lot our multicast exchange platform for TV stations. We got to Bucharest 6 out of the 8 root Anycast instances. We implemented also the AS112 service. And I can say that the IXP Manager peering tool is fully operational, both for us as managers at Interland, but also for members. Can you go to the next slide, please? So, in all these points of presence, we have over 164 ports. And what is interesting, in fact, is on the next slide, I think, we have upgraded, if you want to go to the next slide, we used a lot of our 100 gig ports. There were a lot of upgrades from 10 gigs to 40 gigs and then very rapidly to 100 gigs. The 3 ports you can see on 40 gigs, in fact, I think they will not be there for a long time. They will be upgraded to 100 gigs in the next future. We managed somehow to convince our customers to use route servers instead of making private peerings, and almost all of our customers are IPv6 enabled. It is true that not all of them are using IPv6, but I think that more than half are already making IPv6 traffic. This is our bandwidth before the pandemic. We had a peak of almost 150 gigs, and now we are at around 300 gigs. Can you please move to the next slide? We saw that the DNS root anycast servers are very important to get very fast responses about DNS IP address resolving. So we put a lot of effort to bring most of them. We did not bring all 8 of them because the other 2 are already in place at some other similar internet exchanges present in Romania. Please, can you go to the next slide? The TV exchange had a very big growth. We got from around 25, 30 streams and 40 channels before the pandemic. And during all this time, we managed to have 111 TV stations on our TV exchange, which is using the same equipment than the internet exchange. Around 80% of our peers are already using the TV exchange, and they take these TV stations to be broadcasted to their clients. Next slide, please. The IXP manager, we tried to get the most out of it. So when a member is connecting to the IXP manager, he has already all the information he needs without having to make phone calls or to study wiki pages and so on. So he has all the information about his connection. He has all the information which is publicly available for the other members. He can manage himself, his peering connection. There are documentation and configuration examples for Cisco, or I don't know, any other type of equipment. Traffic graphs, member graphs, pop graphs are also available. All the contact information for support is available on the IXP Manager. So we came also with feedbacks to the developers of IXP Manager, and we hope these tickets that we opened will be soon taken into consideration, and the IXP Manager itself will become more versatile. Next slide, please. We have also invested a lot in PeeringDB because this is a very important database. We are also silver sponsors for PeeringDB, and we are helping in every way we can to have this database as accurate and up to date as possible. Next slide, please. We have also hosted a lot of events, but as you can see, in 2019, the eye-to-eye or face-to-face events stopped. We tried to put into place some virtual events. This was not going as expected. The interest was quite low. But as we are getting more and more vaccinated here, and at least among us, we didn't get ill. We try, at least with the few people we can, to create some events. This weekend in Constanța, we will have an Interland workshop. This will also tell us if it is okay to have these face-to-face events, and if everything will go well, and we hope it will, because we are taking all the sanitary measures we can to make it go well. Well, if it goes well, we will continue to have face-to-face events, at least for now in Romania. Next slide, please. Well, that was about everything. Going from work to home had little impact in our business, and we hope everybody will be okay. Health is the most important. It is before business, and this is what I wish for every one of you. If you have any questions, I am here to answer you.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you very much for this very informative presentation. Actually, there is a question from Vesna in Q&A section, and it goes, are you using RIPE Atlas probes or anchors for troubleshooting or measurements?
Yes, my colleague and the president of Interland, Eric Bolanu, is in fact an ambassador for Atlas probes, and he is making a lot of efforts to send them to whoever needs it, and to whoever doesn't need it but is interested in having Atlas probes. So yes, this is a very important part of our activity.
Very good. Thank you very much. So now I made all of the presenters in this section speakers. So if any one of you wants to say anything more about the situation or ask a question to other IXP, all of a sudden you are the IXPs in the region, you should talk to each other. So any comments, questions? No?
I have one. It's also Elena thinking about the same. Christian, can you elaborate? We somehow convinced them part.
Can you repeat, please?
Can you elaborate that we somehow managed to convince them? That means probably to upgrade their ports from I don't know 10 gig to 40 gig to 100 gig. How do you convince them, or they just see the benefits?
Actually, convincing them was not very difficult since the traffic grew in an organic way. People were starting to use at home and at work, for those who still went at work, very much video conferences and so on. So it was just a matter of paying attention to how the traffic was rising, and just telling them, you know, you are near 80% of your port. Aren't you interested in making an upgrade? We are opened, our doors are opened. We can discuss. This is a special situation. It is not about money or about business all the time. It is also about making the end user happy, because if we have happy members with happy customers, they will come to our internet exchange more openly. And since Jan said about comments, I can say that we are open for any information, anything we can help with, any way we can help with for internet exchanges in the region, and not only. We are just waiting for your answers, for your questions, and hopefully we can come with an answer that will make your internet exchange point grow.
Okay, we have a question from the participant, Bledi Vako. Please go ahead.
I think he's on mute.
Yeah, probably. He asked for the...
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to know, is there any progress with IXP implementation in Albania? Because we as end customers are facing difficulties. You know, during pandemic, a lot of traffic was locally, but as far as I've tested, it went to Croatia, through Italy.
This is a very good question. Thank you. We asked the Albanian Internet Exchange Point to be part of this session, but unfortunately, Namex, who is running the Internet Exchange, they said that it wouldn't be. They don't have. They're way too busy to prepare a presentation like this for this week.
Okay.
But what we heard is that there is some progress and there are things happening. But you know, it doesn't just. It's not enough just to have an IXP in the country. You should also put some pressure on the ISPs, the internet service providers, to actually connect to the IXP. So, and that's usually the part of you local users in the country to do it.
Yeah, I've done everything I can, but
yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, yeah.
I would add to that, even when they connect to the IXP, then it takes some time to work with their network guys to really, you know, configure everything and make sure that traffic really flows as it should, because usually it can happen. We had that situation in Skopje. Fixed users had traffic going over the IXP, and mobile devices of the same operator were not. So yeah, it always takes a lot of effort and collaboration and cooperation between the peers, the members, the IXP itself.
Thank you.
You are on mute, Jan.
Oh, thank you. Well, Christian, thank you very much for your presentation, and I hope to see all of you soon in person. That there are a couple of meetings starting in Europe in person, so let's hope for the best.
Let's hope for the best. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Okay, Vlad, will you introduce David?
Yeah, we're just on time from what I see on the agenda, and we have now a set of presentation out of this IXP block. And first is David Huberman and his reverse DNS survey of the region. So, David, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to talk a little bit today about something a little different than what we've been discussing, which is reverse DNS. See, next slide. So I wanted to take a look at the deployment around the world of reverse DNS and see where it was at. So this summer, I wrote a tool just using Python in 3 different data sets. And the first data set was to identify all the different allocations from all the RIRs, sorted by country code. And then I took a good view of the DFZ. In this case, I chose Links in London, a very popular IX for networks around the world. And they publish their BGP feed, so I was able to get their view of the DFC. And then I was able to take some DNS data. And then I took all these 3 data sets and I put them together. And the goal was to see if for measure for any given country, how well deployed was reverse DNS as a function of all the different allocations made by the RIRs to that country. Now, you'll notice I only identified the IPv4 allocations. And that's because as I was building this, I really could not figure out a good way to scan for PTR records in IPv6 networks. They're just too large, and PTR records are very random sometimes. So I wasn't able to figure out a good way to do that. If anyone has ever played with that and knows how to do that, please contact me and teach me. So I built this tool, and I wanted to show a little bit about the results. And first, I wanted to give the results for what would have been our host country and will hopefully be our host country for SEE 10 in April. That's our friends in Slovenia. As of yesterday, there were 482 IPv4 allocations made by the 5 RIRs, obviously primarily the NCC, to Slovenia. And when you break that out into CIDR blocks, because allocations from RIRs sometimes become off bit, and that's very normal, there are 484 blocks. So I have 4 measurements. Of those 484 blocks, 72% of them, 348 of them, are found in the DFC. I can see them at Links in London. And they have at least 1 PTR in each of the CIDR blocks, which means there's some reverse DNS being resolved. On the opposite side, we have 89 blocks, about 18% of the country's IPv4 space is routed, but does not have any PTR. This third bullet point is expected. It's actually normally a lot higher in other countries, which is not routed and has a PTR. There's a joke in DNS world that when a PTR record is published, it's immediately obsolete, because PTRs tend to be set it and forget it. You publish it once and you never think about it again, and they become obsolete very quickly. And I found 38 blocks that are not routed and they don't have a PTR. They appear not to be used, at least from a public internet perspective. Okay, so Slovenia is a fairly typical country in terms of these numbers from the numbers that I've seen. But I also decided to measure it for the purposes of our group today across the entire Southeast Europe region. So for all of Southeastern Europe, there were 6,840 IPv4 CIDR blocks. And you can see a lower percentage of them than Slovenia are routed with a PTR, and a higher percentage of them are routed without a PTR. And we see some zombies in 139 in terms of the PTR records, and we see about 8%, same number as Slovenia, just appear not to be in use. So what good are these numbers? Well, you know, reverse DNS actually turns out to be kind of important. As Vesna said, and as Zoran said in their presentations, you know, we are a community and we act as a community. When we were built, the internet is what it is today. It was built as a community. You go back to the 1970s, you go back to the 1980s, all the way back to NSFNet and what have you. It worked because engineers at different organizations worked together. And that's just as true, if not more true, today in 2021. We all work together. We work together here in NOGS. We work together on mailing lists. We work together on IRC channels. We work together in person over coffee or over drinks. You know, you and I will spend our careers, we'll go to all these different companies or networks, these different ASs, right? But what stays the same? The people we work with at other networks. We're all the same. We're a small community, and we've always been a community. So one of the ways we help each other is actually by publishing PTR records for our network infrastructure elements. If you think about network troubleshooting, well, if you think about the network today, you know how much of it is becoming automated, how much of it now relies on scripts that before we always used to just type with our fingers all our different configurations. But one of the things that's not as well scripted, and one of the things that still very much relies on the human element, on human detective work, is troubleshooting, is finding the problems, finding what's broken so that we can then go fix it. And humans don't process IP addresses the same way we process semantic names, the same way we can process host names. So from a human troubleshooting perspective, it's really, at least I find it's very helpful when all of our network elements, all of our routers, anything that is going to touch in a trace route or any type of troubleshooting tool has a reverse record in it, because then we can see the host name. It's much more useful when you're doing troubleshooting and looking at your tools, that you can see a host is an edge router in Belgrade or a core router in Sofia, than just seeing a list of IP addresses and trying to figure out, okay, well, that's an ASX and this is an ASY. Okay, it's a lot more useful. Yeah, and yes, there's always the business case, and the business case for reverse DNS has and always will be email. If you're running email servers, it's important that you have PTR records for that mail server. But for us as network operators, please consider taking a little bit of time, build it into your processes, that as you deploy new network infrastructure elements that are going to show up in troubleshooting tools for all of your peers, and I don't mean your BGP peers, I mean your peers here in the network engineering community. Please tag them with a PTR so we can see what the host name is, so that we can help troubleshoot both for us and for you. And that's really all I had to say. Thank you very much, and I really hope we get to meet together in person in April in Ljubljana.
Yeah, thank you, David. This is amazing stuff. And it must be early in the morning for you or late in the evening? What is it?
Yeah, it is 4:59 a.m. right now.
Oh boy, I hope you had a good coffee.
Yeah.
So let me go around this tool and see if there are questions for you. I don't see any. Well, I couldn't help myself noticing that you did the measurement just for IPv4.
Yeah, I can't, in order to get the third data set, which is, does a PTR exist for a CIDR block that requires me to scan the block and look for PTR records, and the IPv6 blocks are just too big. Okay. I don't have the programming prowess to do serious multi-threading to scan blocks that are as large as IPv6.
Well, they say that to scan 1/64, you would need 50,000 years or something.
Yeah. So I couldn't figure out how to do it. If anyone has good experience with scanning IPv6 networks,
I think that Fernando Gont was inventing something with his IPv6 toolkit, with some clever ways of trying to figure out which addresses are in use. But yeah, we have a question from Vesna in Q&A. Oh, Vesna asked to send video. Let me see how I can give her video. Vesna, please.
Hi. I had two questions. So one I typed in. Are you familiar with the IP Maps tool by RIPE-NCC?
I haven't played with it. No. What does it do?
Well, we try to map the infrastructure by looking into the trace routes from the RIPE Atlas, and first of all, like actually using reverse DNS records to kind of guess the location based on the algorithm that you described. So I think there could be a potential cooperation there.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, we'll definitely look at that.
Yeah, I'll also talk to my colleagues and then show them your presentation. And the second question is just an idea. I haven't been playing with RIPE Atlas now for 5 years, but I remember that it would be possible to use IPv6 enabled RIPE Atlas probes as the targets for your measurement. So instead of scanning everything, you could use the probes as kind of representatives of the connectivity within the country, although it's skewed because it's mostly kind of geeks that are well connected, and then they would have set up reverse DNS records, but still you could compare different countries and so on. So that was just what I got inspiration from your talk.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
And if I may add, probably the delegation of the zone in reverse in IPv6 could be used as additional input to at least have an idea there is a delegation or not for this.
Yeah, and Desiree says in the chat, great idea. Hi, Des. Okay, David, thank you very much. Vesna is again asking to send the video. Just a moment.
I have a follow-up. That's it. You. No conference can be without cat videos. Bye.
Exactly. Cheers. Okay. Paule, are you ready?
Not bad, you?
Yes.
Okay, I will. Okay, this is, I think.
Okay, so this is Paule.
Okay, sure.
This is Paule Mjušković from the Agency of the Electronic Communications and Postal Services in Montenegro. And let's hear about the overview of electronic communications market in Montenegro.
Okay, I will.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Jan. So I will just give a short overview first about the revenue. Revenue in the last years was about 231 million, except the last year, which is dropped to 211 million. But we have, let's say, the high investment was in 2016. The operator invested about 116 million, what is about 50% of the revenue. And even in 2020, investment was 61 million, what is about 29% of the revenue. So this investment, you will see it pay off as we increase the connectivity. We have 4 fixed operators, 3 mobile operators, and 23 registered ISPs. About global internet bandwidth, is expected it's increasing. So in 2020, our bandwidth is about 285 gigabits per second. We also in the June this year also it stayed the same. About fixed broadband users, as expected, is continuously growing. And in June 2021, it's about 187,000 of broadband subscribers. So it's increasing every year. So let's talk about the traffic. As you see, the traffic is growing. So in 2020, the traffic of fixed broadband was about 342 petabytes. In June was 183 petabytes. So it's just half of a year. So we expected that still was growing in 2001, and you see the big increase in 2020. Average monthly traffic per subscriber in Montenegro, it's at the end of 2020 about 154 gigabytes. Now in June, it's 163. This is actually the more important what we exist for, to provide conditions to operator to deploy their networks. So on the left side, you will see map of Montenegro. It's colored in different colors. So the greens mean the highest speed. So it's over the 100 megabits per second. The yellow is a speed between 300 and 100 megabits, and the red one is from 2 to 30 megabits per second. It looks like it's not covered a lot, but on the next slide, I will show the numbers to see that we are pretty good in the coverage of the territory of Montenegro and population. On the right side is the picture coverage by broadband by settlements. So in Montenegro, it's about 1,500 settlements. With the light blue, it's marked the settlements where it's available fixed broadband, and the different shades of this brown colors represents the density of the settlements. So you will see the most settlements which are not covered, they have households, number of households from 1 to 76. So now we will see the numbers. So when we go see the numbers, we see that almost 77% of households have access to speeds over the 100 megabits per second. 4.3% households have between 300 and 100 megabits per second, and 14% of households, they are not in area where is broadband available. So when you look this by technology, so 68% of the households have access to fiber. 5G is accessible by 26%, and XDSL about 37%. When we look at the mobile broadband, it's the same like in the fixed broadband. The number of users of internet broadband increases. So at the end of the June, we have 572,000 users of the mobile broadband. On below, you can see how it's looked by operators. On this picture, we will see the mobile traffic. So the mobile traffic also, it's increasing like it's increasing in the fixed broadband. So on the end 2020, it was about 52,000 terabytes of the traffic, and now in the first half of the 2021, it is about almost about 32,000 terabytes. When you look the average monthly traffic per users, it's about 9.4 gigabyte in June 2021, and it's still growing. On the left, you see the networks of the radio base stations. So even in Montenegro, it's pretty much covered the radio base station. We still have some gaps where it's not available mobile coverage. On the right, you will see the coverage of the LTE with the threshold of 10 megabits per second in download. And now I will show you the numbers. So by UMTS, it's covered almost 81% of the territory, but LTE, it's about 77% of territory. But when you look at population, about 98% of the population is covered by UMTS, and also a little bit smaller by LTE. So about this internet traffic in the March, I think the pandemic officially, let's say, started, and some measure was adopted in the second half of the March. So in the March was increased of the traffic 54% compared to the March of 2019. So increase was also increased on 25% in the second half of the March compared to the first half. This is the time when the school starts working online and people start working from home. Also, the pattern of use of internet was changed. So before you have some peak of traffic, maybe in the evening. Now you have heavy usage of internet during the whole day. Also, some operator reported that the internet traffic, especially on the mobile network, was at the level in August. This is when is the high season. So probably because of this, our network were resilient, because probably they planned and project the network to the peak in the season. So because we didn't have many interruptions, actually we just have one interruption in internet services. It was for a few hours, and actually it happened not in Montenegro, because some operator, they have two physical links to the global internet, but all these two physical links finish in the same data center, and because of the earthquake, this data center was damaged and they lost connection, but other operators helped that one, and they again established the links. So I just want to, because we're talking about this pandemic here, everybody is online, and for this we see that about 40% or about 15% of household is not covered by the broadband. So now it's some studies preparing for Montenegro, which will define this the white, gray, and the black areas, and also they will give some model what is the best way to deploy infrastructure in that areas. Also, in the last meeting, I think in Sarajevo, we introduced, or actually present our plan for the to IP version 6. Since then, this year actually we did some maybe serious work. We organized it together with ITU one workshop for IP version 6. Also organized with ITU training for the trainees on IP version 6, and we expected to get the IP version 6 lab also from ITU by the end of this year, and this lab will be established in the University of Montenegro, and Vladimir, I think, will be in charge of this lab. And this is all for me. I took almost 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pavle, for your short but very precise presentation. I'm quite impressed on how you coped with the COVID-19, but I presume that you always cope on August for the tourist season. So let's say you were quite ready. Maybe
Yes.
not tourists, but at least for the normal functioning of the country in these pandemic times.
But I'm talking about August in the 2019, not 2020. It is a high. It was all people come to Montenegro.
Yeah, and I don't see any questions currently in the Q&A part or any comments. So if no one asks for the mic, I would go to the next participant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pavle. So our next participant is Predrag Puharic from with his presentation of Cybersecurity Excellence Center and the first Bosnia and Herzegovina academic CSERT. Predrag, the floor is yours. Enjoy.
Predrag, you might be muted.
Is it now okay? You can hear me?
Yes, we can see and hear you.
Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity to present our activities, preferably and mainly during the COVID pandemic. And during the pandemic and as the pandemic progressed, I tried as part of my research to try to focus how the internet users and how the internet and cybersecurity stakeholders in Bosnia coped with increased traffic, with increased attacks and cyber threats in Bosnia. But for the reasons I will now present, that wouldn't be possible to do as in most of the other countries. So we came into idea to create that kind of institution, that kind of national point that will govern that kind of information, that govern that kind of cooperation in Bosnia. As probably because this is regional, the most of the participants are from the region. Probably most of them know that the complex national governance structure, political situation, most notably in issue of the national entity, sub-entity, authority, and responsibility over cybersecurity governance and incident response, has led to a situation that Bosnia and Herzegovina is the last Western Balkans country without no functional national CSIRT. Council of Ministers adopted the decision of creating the national CERT with Ministry of Security in 2011, and that's the last thing that happened. So that's just the decision is made. In the meantime, one of the entities of Republika of Srpska created the national its own CSIRT team that it's working, and it's working quite well, but it's only for that entity, and because, as I said, of complex national and political structure, it is possible to provide services to whole country and to act as a national CERT or point of contact or CERT of last resort. So this leaves all segments of BH society and economy more vulnerable to cybersecurity attacks. So even in academic sector, there's no capability of using benefits of digitalization. So in this aspect, academia, civil society, and media are particularly exposed, because we had for some media in the last couple of years, like during the pandemic, we had a lot of attacks. We had a lot of state-funded attacks from the nation that are prone to that kind of activity. So, and there had no real organized help or information sharing with the region or with the other stakeholders here. So, and in the whole Bosnia and Herzegovina, with this kind of situations, without a crucial element for the development of cybersecurity workforce, even if Ministry of Security will establish that kind of institution, we will have a lot of people that would be able to work at the moment in that kind of facility. We had some cooperation, we had some element of experience in private sector, of course, but that's just not enough. So one of the proposed solutions that we are trying now as an initiative we are trying to create is establishment of an entity which will combine our academic excellence, academic experience, and civil society flexibility and openness to establish, let's call it, a National Cybersecurity Excellence Center. At first, it will facilitate the establishment of academic CERT. Because of the political situation, we cannot call it a national CERT, so it will be Excellent Cybersecurity Excellence Center. And we plan to, within 2 years of its establishment, this CERT will be capable to serve as CERT of last resort. We already established cooperation with FIRST and some other European and global CSIRT organization to support this activity. And also we will try to act as a catalyst and support for the establishment of national BH CERT, even in Ministry of Security or any other government agency. So to provide help and support. I will not take your time with all the project results and outputs, but after this CERT is established, one of the main goal for us is to create training programs for students, to create practical inputs and experience to enrich and create and enrich existing curriculum in the university in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and also to produce awareness raising and training of trainers for this kind of education. Also, we will try to establish, we already did some of this work, communication channels with key business community stakeholders like national and entities, trade chambers and financial institutions, so they can we create the cooperation in training and developing of academic programs within private and public sector. When we talk about sustainability, we try to establish cooperation with all levels of government PH, because as the moment situation is practically at the beginning of this kind of institution, so cooperation and support is needed. We are part of the University of Sarajevo, which is the largest and oldest university in public funded university in Bosnia and Herzegovina. As I said and mentioned earlier, we have cooperation with trade chambers and private sector. We also established international regional cooperation, and we are already a part of international coordination, cybersecurity coordination group that we call here Nareta Group, which is organized and mentored and sponsored by OSCE and European Commission. As I said, the two principal organizations that are supporting this initiative is Criminal Policy Research Center as one of the leading civil society organizations here with a lot of experience in big international projects, and Faculty for Criminal Justice, Criminology and Security Studies as a part of the academic community here in University of Sarajevo. Our team consists of really big experts. One of them is CISO for almost 15 plus years with academic background. We have technical lead in our team, one of the technical leads in one of the regional CSIRTs, technical lead in one of the university's ITC centers, also one of the key IT leads and people in managers in one of the Europe leading pharmaceutical companies based in Switzerland, and also one of the former key consultants of DCAF Swiss Institute. So two of our members are Chevening Cybersecurity Fellows, two of our members are CRDF Purdue University Cybersecurity Fellows. So it's a really experienced team. So thank you for this opportunity to just present what we did, what steps we did during the pandemic, and we thank you for when we start to work in full capacity. I would hope that the cooperation with RAP will be really good and fruitful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Predrag.
We have a question from Vesna for Predrag, and I quote, Predrag will be interested in giving a similar talk in the anti-abuse working group at RIPE 83.
Of course, why not? Thank you.
Vesna, why you don't request the microphone and the video so we don't have to read? You're lazy.
Okay. Then, yeah. Because my cat is running around here. So I have another question. If you would like to see yourself as a representative of Bosnia and Herzegovina at this meeting, could you give us or do you know anything, any update about the creation of the NREN, so National Research and Education Network in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
As I said before, the political situation, the organizational levels in Bosnia, the state of the, I don't know, did I mention that the higher education in Bosnia is in Republika Srpska on entity level, in Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina is on cantonal level. So we have like 10, 11 district and 12 ministries for education. And there's no official state department for education, so it is working very slowly. It's going very slowly. So challenges are all the same. If you say you are establishing something on the national level, all the stakeholders on all levels will say it's our responsibility, state responsibility. So this is the reason why we call it Cybersecurity Excellence Center. If you call it National CSIRT, we will be blocked in the first sentence. So that's also one of the issues. We have to go workarounds. We have to create workarounds.
And a lot of that in 2018 when we were in Sarajevo. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Predrag. It was good to hear also from Bosnia. And I was also wondering about NRN, but yeah. Okay, we came to the end of today's program. Are there any questions, comments, anything else from the community?
This is the Pavel is asking, but this is the general discussion block, guys. So feel free.
One question that somebody could probably answer me regarding.
We can't hear you well.
I can just one question, okay? And regarding this educational platform, let's say like Microsoft Teams, and I'm wondering if you can answer me: is this traffic stay local or it goes somewhere when they upload the documents on these team platforms and they have these classes? Is everything stay local or it's going outside the countries? With
Vlad, would you like to take this?
I would tell we have two parts of our story about how do we the education part. The University of St. Kirill Methodist is using mixed utilities, so part of the materials are local, and part are based on Microsoft Teams. The so the elementary and high schools are using primarily Microsoft Teams and only a little bit on the local platform. We tried, we see some advantages, but also some disadvantages. The advantages are that you don't have to take care of the resources, so a lot of servers, storage, etc. But disadvantages is the large amount of traffic you have to send out of the country. We tried and approached Microsoft several times in order to get them closer to the providers, especially if possible to the IXP. Unfortunately, they were very difficult to negotiate, mainly because I believe they see, at least for the Macedonian situation, they see us as a small generator of traffic, so they don't like to do anything special. And this is why we have some difference in the end user experience when using Microsoft Teams. Also, as you probably know, when we all switched to online, even Microsoft Teams had some trouble with coping with capacity. So we really felt this several times, but it was the same with Zoom and all the other platforms. For our faculty university usage, we also use our internal teleconference platform based on open source, and this is very good because in this case it's everything, the traffic is local, and this is how we actually do the exams with this platform.
Zoran, you wanted to say?
Yes, just to offer a standpoint, an opinion. As you know, SOX has been working with CDNs for a very long time, and we even went out to Vienna and Sofia in order to reach some hard-to-reach CDNs. Of course, we always negotiate with them coming to Serbia to cut milliseconds, to work on the capacity, on latency, on jitter, blah, blah, blah. And Microsoft is no stranger to us, of course. For last 5 years, we are discussing for them to come closer to Serbia. And the same what Vlad told about Macedonia applies to Serbia. You are too small. But we have some good signs that they will join, how to say, national data center in city of Kragujevac, and it will be a huge installation, and it will be hundreds of gigabits of interconnection, and hopefully it will become a regional hub to serve also neighboring countries. As everything with Microsoft, we are talking about 6 months from now.
Cool. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
The congratulations from Miriam in the chat. I would like to hear it and see it, but yeah, thanks Miriam for your kind words.
Okay, I guess this is it. Final words. Vladislav, would you like to say final words?
Well, I'll try. Thank you for everyone for joining this virtual event. And as you probably heard this a few times today and in the past, I really hope to see you all in person next year on SE10 in Ljubljana, as we planned like 2 years now. Please stay safe, stay healthy, continue to collaborate, cooperate, and try to fix what I say. There is no problems, but just big challenges. So thank you everyone for your participation. Thank you everyone for being with us today, and hope to see you again in real life, even sooner than Slovenia.
Thank you, Vlad. I can't add anything to this. Okay, Vesna wants to say something.
Could we ask everyone or whoever wants to turn their camera on, and so that we at least see each other a little bit?
Well, then I will have to click a lot.
Yeah. It's a hard work being a chair.
Yes.
Hi everyone.
Hey.
Where are your cats? Bring on the cats. Zoran, that's quite a bit time to take a screenshot with your car. Oh, it's quite noisy, just like a meeting.
I think there is a limit of people that can send video.
And I clicked everything more.
Yeah, me too. But thank you for helping clicking. Okay, and Bozo, please, and Desiree. And Hans Peter is here.
I believe
and
we broke
Bozo.
the Miteco platform.
Yeah, there are some hard limits to it. Okay, but what we can do, if you go to the SE9 agenda page, in the bottom there is a special chat link and the password. So I would like to see you all in the spatial chat, and there we can continue the discussion.
Yeah, I already see people in the chat, so in the spatial chat. So see you there, guys.
Okay, people.
The drinks are on Jan's.
Thank you very much, everybody, and see you on the spatial chats in a minute.
Finally.